I'll calm down.
1,000 Questions is an entertaining discussion of marriage. We aren't telling you to do or feel or change anything about your life. Really, just listen and enjoy. And if you need real help, find a professional for your specific problem. We don't know you. How could we speak to your deal? Okay, have fun. Did you see that?
Super cute.
Isn't that super cute?
That is super cute.
Now, no one will see that one because this is a just recorded audio one we're doing right now. So,
Okay.
but on Wednesday, everyone will see that little super cute kind of opening. So yeah, so the live show, those will be all Facebook and YouTube live. But then I'll also copy the audio for a podcast too. So, well, hello, Donna Wilburn. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. How are you? Haven't seen you.
Out of work.
I am not me.
What I do for a living doesn't exist anymore.
Right. You are not essential. Although laughter is essential. So I don't know how that happened.
1,000 Questions is an entertaining discussion of marriage. Did you see that? It started again. I have a very touchy screen. I was going to change cards and it screwed me up. So I'm sorry. So I think what's funny is, yeah, do you like I never like my profile because my profile is so horrible that I did a TV show this morning and I went on the side and I was like, do I look like nobody can see this because I look like a bad nickel with my side with my big nose.
Nickel.
I know. So
But
but as far as my job goes, I'm busier than I've ever been, and I'm making $0 for it.
Enjoy that.
Well, because comedy, I just go do the comedy, and I sit around all day. And
are you making your own self laugh?
No,
your own self?
And I'm sure not making, since it's a marriage show, I'm sure not making my wife laugh. So I'm getting a lot of, but it's funny because obviously when I'm working cruises and doing comedy and stuff like that, I can sit around all day, do a half hour or an hour shows a night. They pay a bunch of money and then just read but now I feel like I've got to be really busy. I could do nothing. It would pay the same, but I feel and we're fine. You know, people complain about, I mean, my wife obviously has I do a joke on my ex, say my wife's a doctor. So if this doesn't go well, I don't need you people at all, but she's not that kind of doctor. But yeah, you're working heavy. What about I don't know what your husband does. I can't remember.
My husband is retired. So he does what's called puttering. He putters.
Does he play golf?
No.
Thank God.
Not at all. He putters around the house and does this handyman stuff. So I have to give him like a task.
How long has he been retired?
Huh?
How long has he been retired?
Almost 15 years, I think, about over 10 years.
Oh, well, he was retired when we lived in Las Vegas.
Yeah, he's been retired for a long time.
Oh, okay. So you're used to it. You're used to the.
Yes. So this is absolutely no change in lifestyle for him. He's puttered around the house before, and he's still puttering around the house. Except I'm here now.
I was going to say you're probably doing most of your sessions on video, right?
Zoom. Yeah, it's called telehealth, and it's FaceTime, Zoom, Google Duo, whatever. Not quite as fun for me, but gets the job done.
And are you find you're busier than you said you're busier?
I am, I'd say just as busy, but it's not as fun. So it feels like more work.
Feels like more work. Yeah, because although what's interesting is we've been doing a Thursday night comedy live show. You should come. And it's really fun. We've really been having fun with it. It's new. We write it new every week. We have special guests. People show up on Zoom. So it's really the stuff I'm doing, and this kind of stuff is really fun too. And I think us doing this, I think will be kind of joyous and hopefully helpful in some way. For anybody who does listen to this podcast and becomes one, this is Donna Wilburn, everybody. Donna Wilburn, say hi.
Hi.
How did we meet, Donna Wilburn?
How did we meet? Like doing some kind of red carpet something? Did we meet?
You don't remember?
We were at an event.
I remember it so specifically because one of the worst, ended up being one of the worst experiences ever.
Oh,
Destroyed a 25-year friendship.
there you go. Yeah, that went really well.
That went really well.
Anywho.
So, yeah, you were sitting in a limo with someone who won't be mentioned.
Oh yeah, it was at the Palms, I think, is where I actually like first met you. That's where we got into the car to go to the event, right?
Yeah, because I had done my show. My show was by the way, for everybody, I had a show called Comic Therapy in Las Vegas. It was a joke show. I don't have a degree in therapy. I mean, I have a master's in behavioral science, but I don't have a degree in counseling. I am a bullying expert, most would say, and I do work with a lot of schools and a lot of kids. But we were doing a show called Comic Therapy, which was relatively popular at the Royal. I would have people bring dream journals to the show, and we would bring in ex-addicts groups and talk to them and do shows. And I got a call from someone who will never be named again in my life to come, and I was so excited. He was hosting the Oscar party at the Palms, this huge red carpet event, and he wanted me to meet me at the other end of the Palms where he was with you, because we had a limo to drive us half
entrance, right? You have to make an entrance.
And so I met you, and you looked wonderful. You had a white dress on, and I'm guessing you were a little uncomfortable with how handsy the guy we won't mention was, because nothing. Yeah, I know. I apologize. So anyway, and
networking.
yeah, you were a big television star at the time. And, are you still a big have you ever thought about doing anything like any television since? Have you thought about it?
I do a lot of news. I've done some podcasts also. Like, I'm not just I'm a big foodie. Okay, like food's my thing. So I actually did some podcasts for a food oriented, chef oriented podcast about the therapy issues that chefs get to enjoy. So I do a lot of news, this whole COVID thing. I've done a lot of news spots for how to handle that and how to cope and all that kind of stuff. So, but I don't have a show.
Yeah. I mean, back then you were the therapist on, was it Holly Madison? Was that her
name?
Oh,
yeah.
Holly Madison's show.
No. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we had the evening where basically I was left alone. We were a thing. You guys left me and just did your own thing. God knows what it was. I'm sure it was horrible for you. And I met Hal Linden, which was cool, and I met Shirley Jones. She was still alive, and I just kind of wandered around because nobody knew who I was. And then at the end, they said, "Let's go to the Playboy Club and dance." And that was the end of my life because I danced. And
and I guess I do.
And you danced too. Yes, if you hadn't danced, we'd all be fine.
We're terrible.
We're terrible people because we danced for an hour. So and there's just no therapy fixing.
After eating all that, how could I not?
Like, I know. And then I just got the worst hateful "I'm gonna kill you" texts. So everybody. So well, and what's here, since it's a marriage show, and I'll tell everybody listen to this, all three of us were married to different people.
Wow. I mean, two of us were married in our head.
Yeah, only two of us were actually living in our marriage. Yes, two of us, and one was vaguely confused. Mouse is away. I know, creepy. But yeah, and I never could get through. I said, look, we're all married people to other people. This is just a night we're going to an event.
No offending needs to happen. No need to feel offended ever.
So that's where I met Donna. And Donna, you are. When do you finish you've been working on your PhD? And what year?
Oh my gosh!
Are you at what do they call it? A, B, D.
All but dissertation. Yeah. So actually, I'm in my second doctorate program. The first one is ABD, and then the second one I'm now in my internship. And so I still have, I think, another year, but that's what you get when it's online school. So it's like accredited programs, but you don't actually get to talk much with real people. And I'm not made for that very well.
You'll have 2 doctorates when you finish
Well, I don't think the official one I will, the first one I will actually have, but I did all the classes, so in my head I have it.
Well,
Then
it's
the second one I will.
university, so you're going to be you might get a rebate if you took
Probably
the
double D.
yeah double double.
Double. Mhm.
It's like a ranch, double D ranch or something like that. Yeah, that doesn't sound accredited at all.
No, doesn't
No.
sound like therapies. Well, I guess it could be therapy happening at the
So
double match.
and you have been how many years have you been working obviously for anybody who ever listens, you're a marriage and family therapist, so wide ranging, not just marriage, not just family, kids, the whole deal. You spoke to my daughter quite a bit as she was struggling with the fact that I was gone for 7 months and they only saw me
Yeah,
every
right.
month or so, which was horrible. And how long have you been practicing?
I would say I'm at like 17 years now. I've been a therapist. And so, but like I'm refining in this lovely giant hot tub called Las Vegas, that I'm now what's called a high conflict divorce expert. That the more dramatic they are, the more they get to come to me.
Well, and I looked into there's trainings you can take to be a mediator for divorce.
Mhm.
Is that basically what you're talking about?
Oh gosh, no.
Okay.
No, this is more like S&M style. Like I am so bossy on this crowd, and they are high drama. So typically, one or both of the parents have a personality disorder. And so
Uh,
they're really messing with the kids really bad. And so the court refers them to me to whip them into shape.
really? So you get a tough love kind of a thing. And
Oh, yes.
and
And
then
I'm
do you then make them make decisions on how they're going to do the divorce? So it's
yeah, or how to handle like gosh, all the lovely stuff that comes up with kids, like what school, what are they going to wear, how to do their hair. Like personality disorders want to argue about everything and feel threatened about everything.
yeah.
So, of course, there's going to be things they cannot agree on. In fact, I'd be surprised if there are things that they can agree on. And so it messes with the kids. It's too much stress on the kids. The kids get put in the middle. The kids get they become part of the drama. So much stress. So really my main purpose is to get kids out of there, out of that stress. And so that means I get to boss parents around and say, stop talking like that. No, you're not allowed to ask that. No, you're not allowed to say that in front of the kids.
Mm.
This is how you're going to do it. This is what time you're going to pick them up. This is how you're going to pick them up. Like stuff like that.
So innate selfishness is what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
I think it's kind of like for the parents, yeah, they cannot prioritize their children over their own egos. That's what this crowd does.
Well, good. You'll get a lot of chance to talk about that during this because I don't know if you know this, but what I've done literally for the past year and a half or more is I created a show called Marriage and Mayhem that I
Uh-huh.
took to the Edinburgh Comedy Festival. And one of the parts of the show was I gave questionnaires to everybody in the crowd. And the questionnaire says, here's one of them. It says, write down a question you have about marriage or bringing up children in a marriage. And then my goal was to make fun of whatever question they would ask. And uh, but then people write real questions. People are struggling in their marriages that they write. And I look at things and I'm like, well, I don't want to deal with this in a comedy show. And a lot of them I do. I mean, I still do it I've got literally a bucket full of thousands.
Oh my gosh.
Now, there's a billion repeats in here. So as we go through this, and I figure every
Bucket of
every
crap.
Wednesday, we'll pull out as many questions until we get through answering them. Some will be just so stupid, we'll just get rid of them. But but one question I rarely took on, and I got a lot of, was about kids and stepkids and dealing with especially stepkids. I did some kid questions as a joke, but I was just amazed that people are looking for help in a comedy show. It's crazy.
I know, but they want help. Like this is my department and I'm not running out of people. I'll tell you that.
Yes. You'll never run out of people. Well, and everybody has, especially this time. I think people are finding that all this time together is something they didn't bargain for when they got married.
Right? No, but we're finding a way. We're actually coping. It's after this is over that I'm more worried. You can survive this, then when it's over and you're not stuck together, it might not get pretty. They might.
Really? Really?
Yeah.
Why? When you go back to normal, then what?
Yeah. When you're in a stressful situation and when you have to deal, you deal. When
Mhm.
it's over and you don't have to anymore, then you do.
So all the stuff you may have bottled up while you were dealing can then come to
Then you're
fruition
done.
and,
And you're like,
explode.
done.
Got it. Got
Yes.
it. So you didn't mean they were having no problems. It was a party when they were stressful together. But yeah, I would agree with that totally. And I think I wonder if and I wonder if there's been an uptick in divorces. Have you noticed that even
It's
there?
not yet. Wait till this is
Yeah.
over. Wait till this is over. All those divorce attorneys better get themselves ready.
Will this ever be over?
Ish. I'm thinking.
Ish.
Enough to be where they don't have to stay in the house together. Once they're done staying in the house together, somebody's going to explode.
Well, what's interesting is I've been married 26 and a half years, and this is the second longest time we've ever been together consistently. Like, because I mean,
Oh, right.
yeah, because I did,
Wow.
I've never not worked more than 3 weeks off before. Uh,
Wow.
and for the first, until 2014, we had never spent more than 2 full weeks together without me going on the road and doing something. And then we went to England for August to December, and I was home every night. I went out and I would do gigs.
Yeah, you're not like stuck in the house all day.
Yeah, we were not stuck in the house. She had work, I had work, the daughter had school and stuff like that. So, but I was home, and it was the greatest time ever in our marriage because I
Nice.
was home every night, and
Normal.
every gig was 2 hours away. This is, although home in the house, uh 24 hours a day almost and stuff like that, and it's fine. Where I mean there's little here and there I'm bugging her, but I always say in the show my wife's my best friend and I'm not in her top 5. But
Nah.
so so I'm getting on nerves more than because I don't know the plan. I don't know how the plan
What's
works.
the
So
plan?
the plan, she has a very well, they have transitioned all her classes and everything at home, and we don't have 3 office spaces. We've had to create. I've got this look around. I've got a beautiful office I set up years ago, and she did not want to move in here, and all my stuff's in here now. So, I mean, we had to set up the kitchen for her
Oh,
college
lucky her.
classes. And, we set up it's pretty nice in there, but we all can't not go in there. And, my daughter got a beautiful space upstairs that we should have given my wife. She's got a whole she kinda got screwed on the, and she's the one that makes money. So she's the one actually doing a job. Yeah, so but she's closer to the kitchen. So if she wants a snack, she's a lot closer to the snacks.
Priorities.
Primary.
That's
So,
priorities.
okay. So why we're here is what was I getting into was that I've gotten these questions, and as I showed you, I have thousands of questions. So I figured I would just every week we would take 3, 4, 5, whatever we want, and we would answer them for
Okay.
people. And then when we're live, hopefully there'll be a way if people want to type in. I don't know how that none of that works yet. We're gonna have to see on Wednesday if I'm gonna try to have either like Facebook down in front of me so I can see what people are writing because we won't be able to see it here.
Mhm.
And then if anybody comes on at all and listens, uh, then we can maybe take questions from them. So, okay, are you ready? I'm gonna put my hand in the
Okay,
book.
one second. Just to clarify, I am a marriage and family therapist. I have been married like 31 years. I not only have learned about relationships and studied them under the microscope, but I have them. So I have I could bring a little from each category. All
That's
right.
great. Well,
All right.
also let it be known that I played. If you listen to the first thing, the opening I played, it said this. If you
Yeah.
take any advice from us, you're dumb because
Yeah.
this just
Go get your own counselor. This does not count as therapy.
this does not count as therapy in any way. Okay,
No.
so I'm digging in. Okay,
I'm excited.
the first one will probably be horrible. Okay, you know what? I'm going to tell you something. This first question, literally, I get 4 of these every show. this question, which is probably why I picked it, because there's 1,000 of them in here.
Common question. Okay.
Do you want to guess what this question could be?
I'm going to say, how do I have more sex?
That's right. How many times a week to have sex? And before we get to you, I always wonder who wrote, the man or the woman who wrote this question, because I try to tell men all the time, she had way more sex with you than she ever wanted to before you got married. She was throwing you a bone, not to make a pun, uh, before you were married, and just figured, okay, she can handle it. It's fine. We have sex. It's not that long, and it's probably okay. And if he's good at it, then she has a good time. But then after you've been married a while, she don't want it that much. And then as she gets older, when you get into, 50s, and like we're in menopause and stuff like that, then it's a lot harder. He needs to understand, he needs to work a lot harder and a lot different to make it right for her. And men have trouble understanding that, I think, in a way that women's bodies change when we so much don't, as far as how it feels. And
Well, I tell you, there's a myth out there.
yeah,
Okay. And okay, you can go for like a lot of people, but you can't, it's really, really challenging to even try to put everybody in the same bucket. Okay. So that question, I call it intimacy. Okay. That question
mhm,
about intimacy is way more complex than you think.
mhm.
And what I see in my practice is not at all what you think, the stereotype, like the guy wants the action and the woman saying no. I see a lot of vice versa. And there are underlying factors to why desire goes down. So like just even answering that question, like I'd say healthy couple under 40, gonna go with twice a week. Probably depends if you have kids. Okay. So I'm gonna say even with kids, probably can get at least once, if not twice a week.
Yeah.
Um, healthy couple, healthy, you got to get physically healthy couple
Mhm.
over 50, managing their stress, physically healthy. I'm going to say probably the same. If
Well,
it's not that, then
yeah.
there could be something going on, like physical issues, stress related issues. They say, like, oh, the female doesn't want to have sex and blah, 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 because she's so stressed out from taking care of kids all day. It's not that she doesn't want to be intimate, it's that she can't get out of stressed out mode. So, like, there's different reasons that desire, but I'd say pretty much across the board, if you're physically healthy, your relationship is healthy, you're not depressed, you aren't overstressed, you're looking at once or twice a week.
That's going to make a lot of men happy that are all saying, wait a minute, I'm not getting it any time per week. But I always say, my joke is, I always say, when, how many times should we have sex? I said, well, sir, if you were good at it, it would happen a lot more often.
Nah,
If you were
this is
trying,
what I
if
say.
you were,
I say women women want to have sex when they're relaxed. Men want to have sex to relax.
I would say that is true. I also say that when you talk about stress and things like that, because when I was talking about when you get to menopause and things like that,
Uh,
Donna Wilburn is left, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm
Okay,
gonna do one more time. Hold on, I got to turn lights on
why?
because
No one
the
can see you.
sun is going.
What's going?
The sun. It's gonna get
Oh,
dark, and then you're not
well,
gonna.
it doesn't matter because this one's not on. It's only
Oh,
us on each other.
sorry.
On
Okay.
Wednesday, you'll need to be in better
Okay.
light.
Good to know.
So,
Okay.
so my concept is, though, that I do believe, though, that uh, women's bodies do change and their needs change, and a man has to be open to, today this doesn't work, but this does, because she's feeling this or she's feeling that, or when she does have stress, if she is going to, you have to understand that stress and maybe spend a good amount of time with a lot of massaging of the whole body and getting her relaxed before you can even, as opposed to it's going in, and stuff like that. But there are times when it truly is, hey, just get it in, and let's do that, because but you have to be aware of those times and ready to adjust. that's the most important thing that I think, men, you have to adjust when something's not working. You don't just get up and get mad, or she gets mad, stuff like that. You have to go, okay, let's try. We got time. We got,
Intimacy should be collaborative.
that's right.
Together.
Instead of just,
You're talking about it.
yeah, him wanting this to work every time and move on. That's
Right.
very good. So, okay. So be ready. We're going to get that question 1,000 times, and we're
All
going to
right.
hit it from a different angle every time. And I've got different angles.
Interesting.
Okay. What
That's
time is it?
interesting.
Okay. So we've got about 13 minutes left.
Okay.
Okay. So would you prefer 6 cats or 1 child? So when I get questions like this, I think about the psychology of the person who wrote the question. Not that the question means it's obviously someone who has cats and no kids, and is the kind of person who pretends their cats are kids, and will actually say in public, having a cat is just like having a child. And
Not at all.
I want to punch them in the face.
I know, right? I say having a puppy is just like having a child. So if someone asks that question, I'm going to go with they are not very nurturing. They want low maintenance things to take care of. And I would say for them, I don't know if they're really up to having kids.
They're not up to having kids. They
Yeah.
should not be having kids. But you have a child, right?
I have 2 adult children and 2 grandchildren.
Wow. So
Mhm.
now that leads me to talk. We're not ready for grandchildren yet, although I do have quite a few friends who have grandchildren now, because I was an older dad, as they say. Uh, but the difference between having the kids and the grandkids, do you find that obviously it's easier? Obviously, you can just hand them back, but did you find that grandma thing just coming so natural that you couldn't wait for it?
Oh, beyond. I thought, like, in my head, I felt like the universe gave me a present for raising children, and that's the grandchildren. It's kids without stress. It's having the kids without the stress. So you get to, like, it's only the fun. It's so amazing. I
But
can't
what
even
about
explain.
what about grandparents who stress out about the parenting style of their children?
Then they're controlling.
I know, but
Like,
how do
so
they?
take your
But
nose
what
out of their business.
Well, yeah, get out of their kids' business. But what if the kids are not doing the best uh,
Then
job in the
call
world?
CPS. Like, it's not a grandparent's job to boss the parents around. If there's like things that are of concern, that serious concern, there's authorities for that. There's boundaries, there's consequences, there's all kinds of stuff to help people parent better. But grandparents nagging them is never going to be one of them.
That's brilliant, because I was actually leading you to the more important question, and the more important thing to talk about, which was always my thing, is the how the parents should deal with pushy grandparents, which is obviously the worst thing, because they know, because we had this a little bit, and I get that question all the time. What do I do with my mother-in-law dealing with my kids, stuff like
Yeah.
that?
It's called set boundaries. Set healthy boundaries.
But now let's add the next wrinkle. You're married to a mama's boy who's suddenly taking his mother's side.
Then he needs help. That's when you see a professional.
I was going to say, as I say, you're screwed. You
Yeah.
really, you
He
really.
needs help. You might have to set, like, if it was me and it's a mama's boy, I would probably go like, you know what, we need a professional to tell us how to do this because I'm getting super stressed out and you think it's totally fine. And so we need somebody else like helping us out with this because that is a very common problem. A couple is 2 people. Okay. Not 3. It's not a couple and an in-law. Okay. That's a triangle and that's way more conflict.
And
So
creepy.
yeah, that would be weird.
And have the
I
creepy.
raised boys. You have to be like I raised boys,
Yeah.
and it's harder for me as a mother because I have to really be clear about those boundaries. They have a wife. They don't need a mother. that's their wife. So I have to be like, I can't do the parenting. I can't, it's challenging, but it's the healthy thing to do. And if you're confused or if they're stressed, then talk to someone who can help you.
Well, you have to, because I know, because there's a lot of men who will defer to their mother over their
Oh
wife,
gosh, bad,
and that is
bad.
the worst. It's the worst.
I tell people women are territorial. Okay. And my house is my territory. I make the rules. I deal with the consequences. I run it how I want to run it. And if another woman comes into my house and starts taking over like it's her territory, you ain't seen nothing like you've seen two territorial women fighting for territory. And that dude, that husband, can be one of the fights. Whose
Well,
territory is
the
he?
husband has to, by the way, you're going to maybe hear piano going on while we're doing this as my daughter takes her piano lesson.
No.
But I always tell men, especially, it's your job to support your wife and tell your mom to back off. Yeah, I mean, I've had that discussion, and my mom's not pushing anyway, but they don't even realize it sometimes.
No, because
They're
you're just
doing
being
that.
mom.
Yeah,
You
and,
don't realize.
even some stuff with my dad. You're like, hey, we're not doing that. That's not going to be a thing, and you need to not do it. And I would even go as far as to say there's a point when in some relationships you got to tell your mom, hey, if you don't like this, don't come over here.
Yeah.
But
Well,
don't
if
get to
you set a boundary, if you set a boundary with the mom-in-law and you go like, I need you to stop doing that. That's not working so much. And she doesn't stop, then she's got issues and it's okay to have some distance.
Yeah, I mean, we had with our in-laws, they had some views that I didn't think should be hoisted on our child, and I
Mhm.
had to say, look, don't ever talk about these things again. You do every. They were the most beautiful people in the world, but for some reason, they felt like these were. And I said, if you like being around,
Yeah, right.
leave it out. And to make sure, I said, hey, honey, you got to support us on this. We can't, and luckily she didn't like it either. So I know,
Right.
crazy, crazy. Okay, we have 6 minutes left.
Right.
Okay, I'm going for the next one. We will, that was a lot to come out of 6 cats and one child. Oh my God, can you believe it? The next one, how often should you have sex after 10 years of marriage? Uh, that's a date specifically. Again, after 10 years of marriage, why are we talking about the length of time you've been
Yeah, well,
married?
that is not a factor. How long you've been married does not determine how often you have sex. That's not part of the process.
But I still agree with the fact that men need to understand where women are coming from and their bodies and stuff like
I
that.
think men need to understand their own bodies
Oh,
and
I understand my body. I
for
know
the
it.
woman's body. The woman needs to understand the man's body and has to have some empathy for the man's body. And I have to tell you, like, I'm not talking for you personally, but there's a lot of men with some performance issues who are very embarrassed to talk about them because
Okay, well, we're done, everybody. Let's cut. Oh, it's a timeout. Timeout. No.
take it personally. No, but they're embarrassed, and it's like a normal. As your testosterone goes down, your performance hinges on other things besides just hormones, and so it can affect your performance. So, like, there's ways to address anything and enjoy your life, but if they aren't talking about it, we can't help them.
Remind me, this is a subject that I have a ton of information on, and talking to my dad, especially. My dad is the greatest thing he does in his life is as he's gone through things 30 years ahead of me and my brother, he has told us what they were and how he went through it and what it was like. And now he is 85, and he's very frank about
Mhm.
what he's, and man, some real frank stuff that we will get into in future times, because this episode will go on after our beginning episodes go on. So we will talk about those things in the future. But as far as you talk about that, what's important, and then we'll stop there today, and then we'll meet Wednesday.
Mm.
We're going at 2 your time,
Okay.
right? And I figure it'll live at 4. But I don't want everybody's doing stuff at night anymore. There's a million things on at night.
Yeah.
So I figure 4 2. That's people. they have no jobs anyway, so why not listen
No,
around?
right? While they're on the computer, they can be listening to this while they're on the computer.
Yeah, and realistically, my real goal is to have the recordings to put as a podcast. Is not as important as who's watching at the time. So, but what I was going to say is that as when you talk about ED and stuff like that,
Mhm.
that what you talk about, especially as a man, even if you are very healthy, you're going to have this little extension of time that you need in between when you're going to be intimate, as you say, the next time. And you're right.
Recovery. That's recovery.
Women who are negative about those things, because what's interesting to me is I know men a lot of time who are very, very worried about being negative to their wife about sex, but the woman has no problem belittling
Oh, it's so
anything
terrible. That's so
going through. It's like how can you do, because he thinks he can take anything, that men were so stoic. You know what I mean? Oh, well, of course, when it really is digging so deep into his soul. So not that I have a problem. Not that me. I've never had
yeah,
there's no
like
problems here.
that's a little much into that area there. Like there's more to you than your genitals.
That's right. We will talk deeply about that at some other time. Hey, I've got to thank you. Okay, so let's meet on Wednesday. I've got a little closing too. Are you ready for that? Here it is, the closing, and then I'm going to end this. Yeah.
Who's that girl in that picture?
It didn't end.